It's been a little while since I've done a character guide. Let's jump back into them with a character I've seen shoot up the tier list. Chloe. What's poppin' everyone, it's your boy Levi, and Chloe is a very interesting character. The marionette uses her doll Nina as a portion of her offense and defense. Being a shuriken user and one of the few crit shuriken users, Chloe is a fairly unique character. The build I'm showcasing is a 4-zone crit build. While this may look like a basic build, it's going to be a little complicated once you start to transition. You're going to be building 3 weapons on this build. I definitely recommend this build once you get the hang of Chloe. While you're still learning her, I would stick to just her base weapon or 2 weapons if you think you can handle it. Chloe has the option to start either Avenue or Hospital for this build. You want to pick the more crowded option, and if they're both about equal, you'll want to choose Hospital as it's a smaller zone and quicker to run through. Loop towards the teleporter and continue on to your next zone. Whether you start at Hospital or got into Hospital second like me, the only extra item you'll need to grab is alcohol. You'll need one for your build, so make sure you have 2. Combine one with your water for your rum raisin bread, and then save the other water. From here, you can head on to beach. Chloe has the luxury of not really having to worry about SP drinks. Thanks to Changpao, she's going to get a lot of flower liquor anyway, but I find myself most of the time not even needing them. Feel free to drink your flower liquor at will, and grab any carbonated water on the beach and chug them as you go along. Nina will also attack nearby characters as they walk near you. It's a little bit toxic in my opinion, but it does give you some good mastery. Mix in the occasional Q when Nina is near someone, and you'll actually do a decent chunk of damage. Forest is where your build starts to come online. It's the last zone of your base build, and grabbing flowers is the only real annoying part. Because you need 3 flowers, you'll have to go to 2 flower distribution zones. This is especially annoying because all you really need here is a feather. Take any hunts you may see along your path. You're going to want to grab an extra feather and some iron ore if you see them along your path as well, but I wouldn't go out of my way to look for them because you can grab them later. You're decently strong at this point. Just make sure you have ult if someone tries to pick a fight with you. At this point, it's pretty hard for anyone to duel an early game Chloe as this Laura finds out. I'm sure they'll think twice about fighting a Chloe again. After grabbing your last flower, we can start to build our weapon. Because of the nature of Chloe's ultimate and being able to defy death, it means you can sacrifice a little bit of your mastery and still be able to win fights. Don't worry about hunting too much, just take the hunts that are along your route. We're going to be focusing on building Flachette and Petal Torrent. If the Tree of Life and Cemetery is still up and you didn't waste time fighting like me and can get there, get to it on spawn. If you get it, great, but no worries if you don't. You can grab it later on too. I managed to get it despite being late. Return to chapel and you're going to want to grab chalk, paper, and piano wire. I also like to call in a lighter if you don't have one from any dogs or dead players. Combine the lighter with paper to make ash, and then with the water that you've saved, make poison. Crush the chalk with a rock and move on to cemetery. In cemetery, you'll need gunpowder and ice. The ice can be combined with Tree of Life or Glacial Ice. If you didn't get the tree, it can just chill in your inventory. Get it? Chill? Ice? Alright, fine, I'll stop. Combine gunpowder and piano wire for dynamite and move on to Hospital. And welcome back to Hospital. We've come full circle. Here you're going to be looking for a neat... Sorry. Luke interruption. As I was saying, you're going to be looking for a... Alright, Luke, you can have this fight, but I'm going to talk over you because I have a lot to say. You'll need 2 needles and a scrap metal. Combine your iron ore with the scrap metal to make steel. The first needle can be combined with your poison and then combined with glacial ice. Combine that then with the dynamite and you'll make Petal Torrent. The second needle can be combined with feather, then steel, then chalk to make Flachette. And those are your 3 weapons you're going to be rocking with. While walking around, you never want to be caught lacking. Make sure you keep that Petal Torrent on you and equipped, barring it has charges. Petal Torrent is your fight opener. It contains a max of 4 charges and has a very slow recharge time. You can see how much damage Petal Torrent does as this Razi melts without even a chance to fight back. If you want to take this build a little bit farther, you can grab glue and tights and combine it with your leftover steel to make knee pads. Grab a bandage and then TP to Uptown or Archery for shoes and oil to make oilcloth for EOD boots. It's just some bonus crafting XP, but make sure you have the time to do so. Typically, you won't have done as much fighting as I did this early game, and you should be done with this stage by the end of night 1. When you got all your weapons, TP to Alpha for your first objective contest. I get here a bit late, but thankfully Alpha had already chipped Laura down enough to where I was able to pick her up for an easy kill. With Mithril, you want to make Mithril boots. I call this a crit build, but it's more just a basic attack build. If you end up with a second Mithril, you'll want to go Mithril Shield. I personally value the CDR on Diadem, so I don't like to replace it early with Mithril Hum. Do not drop your Card of Tyranny though. You do still need those. Cards of Tyranny will be your hunting and camera clearing weapon, so you don't have to waste charges on your main ones. If you didn't grab one of the early trees, you're going to want to get yourself set up for one. I typically go the Hospital tree, but if you already have ice, I think Forest is fine too. If you're making Mithril boots, you'll be in one of the 2 zones anyways. You can find a chain in Cemetery and then tights in both Forest and Hospital. I didn't need a tree, so I chose to contest the nearby meteorite. I got in a fight with an Echion here, and typically this is one of Chloe's worst matchups, so I'd advise taking it. Normally I'd run because Meteorite isn't something Chloe uses well either, but for the sake of this video, I wanted to contest it. Some tips around ulting as Chloe is that most people don't realize it, but a large portion of your damage comes from the tether between Chloe and Nina. The amount of people I've talked to that said they didn't even know that the rope did damage, let alone that it did true damage, is insane. Your ultimate also cleanses CC, so you want to use it right as you get CC'd and are getting low on health. If your opponent doesn't have CC like Echion here, you want to pop it as you're getting low and when your opponent's fighting in between the two of you. If you're playing the Tiara build, you can use Meteorite for Pegasus, but in this build, hold on to it for a transfer console, and then call in a Tree of Life for your Force Core. If you don't get a Meteorite, you'll just want to save your credits for a Force Core. As you can see, my hunts are pretty low here, but I'm still having a decent time fighting people. As I get ready for a Mega, I'll take some hunts, but that's the next objective. Make sure when you do androids, you use your Cards of Tyranny, and don't be afraid to ult if you have to. It'll speed up the process. Chloe doing androids on her own is abysmal, so try not to let Nina die. Unfortunately, I messed up my transitions a bit here due to muscle memory of other characters. With Force Core, you're actually going to want to go Emerald Tablet, and if you find a second one, then you go Halo. Auto Arms is alright, but it isn't great, and the attack speed from Radar is really good on her. So now it's time to get ready for Wick, and you might be surprised, but Chloe's Wick take is actually really good. Previously, to take Wick, you would aggro it with Nina, and then run Nina in circles around you, kiting it while Chloe basic attacked it down. You can't really do this anymore though. Wick now attacks the closest target to her rather than the aggro target. Now you have to commit the ult to burn Wick down, but it does go down very quickly with the tether damage and Chloe and Nina both attacking it. Again, make sure you're using Cards of Tyranny. With the blood, you're going to want to make Burgundy. If you have Mithril armor already in that slot, you might want to go Opera or Red Shoes as a nice secondary. If you need Healing Cut, go Gunbuy, but that's super situational. I mentioned before, if you're still getting the hang of Chloe, you might not want to make this build with all three weapons. I'd recommend if you're doing two, do Cards of Tyranny plus Flachette, or Cards of Tyranny plus Petal Torrent. I wouldn't recommend Flachette plus Petal Torrent. Here I take a fight with an Aya with my Cards of Tyranny equipped just to show that it does still do damage with them. All that's left is to kill the rest of the lobby. Make sure your food situation is good, and you'll want to take fights with the characters that don't have AoE abilities. Chloe's big weakness is fighting characters that can hit both Nina and herself at the same time. While Chloe can defy death with her ult, she's not invincible. If her and Nina both take fatal damage at the same time, you will die. Here, I'm fighting a Luke, who you can see us having a rough time trying to deal with me. I should also mention that if you're fighting against a Chloe, and at this point it's probably too late, but typically you want to focus Nina's health down first. Her offense is severely limited without her, and it also stops her from being able to ult, or you'll force her to have to ult to save Nina's life. Chloe's got a pretty decent final zone too. I don't get to showcase it in this video because I was fighting that Luke way far away from final zone, but Nina is a great zoning tool if you get to the zone first. Because Chloe is ranged and Nina doesn't expend red timer for you, you can position Nina out of the safe zone and have Chloe attack from the edge of it. It makes it really tough for enemies to approach the zone, and you'll waste a lot of your enemy's timer as they try to figure out an angle in. From this point, it's just your typical combo to get yourself the win. Open with Petal Torrent, swap to Flachette, try to position the enemy in between yourself and Nina. It's a little harder with ranged characters, but you just basic attack with your ult and burn them down. I hope you learned a lot about Chloe in this video. There's a lot to go over for her than the typical one of my guide videos, so hopefully I didn't overwhelm you too much. That's going to be it for this video though. Like the video and comment below what character you want to see next. Subscribe for more videos similar to this one, and I'll see you in the next one.